Hey everyone, and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. So it feels really weird to say that because I feel like it's been a while since I last did a reading vlog, but I wanted to vlog this week and next week because over the next 2 weeks I'm going to be taking part in my own readathon, which is the Goodreads Choice Readathon. I'll leave a link to the announcement video in the description just in case you have no idea what I'm talking about, but I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do 2 vlogs for week 1 and week 2 or just do one long vlog. I think it depends on how much footage I have, but I wanted to start the vlog today because it's currently the 2nd of January and last night I made a start on my first book for this reading vlog, or for the readathon, which is Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. This was nominated in the fantasy category last year and I have never read a book by TJ Klune before, so I'm really interested to see what I think of this, but so far I'm liking the writing style and how it's very easy to digest. I think it's going to be a book that I can read quite quickly. The story is following a guy called Wallace who is not very nice, to be honest. He's really unlikable because he's very rude and very abrupt in the way that he speaks to people, and most people just tend to avoid him. But then at the start of the book, Wallace dies, and that's not a spoiler, by the way. It's literally the whole plot of the book is that you're following Wallace through his death and how he's taken to this place where he meets a ferryman called Hugo, who's responsible for helping Wallace to come to terms with what's happened to him. Wallace's attitude towards his death, though, is that it's a huge inconvenience because he needs to get back to work and he thinks that there must have been some sort of misunderstanding, and he's trying to bargain with Hugo to be alive again because he starts to realise that he hasn't really lived before his death. That's the basic setup for the plot so far, but I haven't read that much. I think I'm about 15 to 20% of the way through, but yeah, intrigued so far. I've seen a few people who have read this already and have really enjoyed it, so I'm really interested to see how the plot progresses because I have a feeling that this is going to be quite hard-hitting and quite emotional, but also hopefully very heartwarming. In terms of my reading plans for the rest of the week, I have no idea what I'm going to be picking up after Under the Whispering Door because I feel a lot of pressure at the moment with it being a new year to pick books that I think are going to be 5 stars because obviously I want to get off to a good start to the reading year. However, the problem that I'm having is all of the books on my readathon TBR are books that I think are going to be 5 stars, and so I want to read them all. I just don't know in what order. So once I've made a decision, I will let you know. But in the meantime, I'm going to read some more of Under the Whispering Door this afternoon, and I will let you know once I have more thoughts and feelings. So I am now 53% of the way through Under the Whispering Door, and I'm really enjoying it actually. I'm enjoying it a lot more now than I was in the beginning. Even though I was enjoying it in the beginning, I feel like now I'm past the halfway point. I feel more invested in the characters and I am nervous about what's going to happen to them. The tone of this book is exactly what I was expecting it to be because it feels very wholesome, even though it does have those deeper and darker themes. There's this found family aspect that I'm really enjoying, and I really like the character relationships and how they've been developed, and I like that the characters are a little bit quirky, I think is the word I want to use. There's been a few moments that have made me laugh. There's been a few moments that have made me cringe, but there was one scene that I read a while ago where a character was telling jokes to another character and it just put a smile on my face. Like, there's been certain moments throughout this book where I just can't help but laugh. There have been a few moments that have felt a little bit tedious, and even though I'm reading this quite quickly, I would say that this isn't a fast-paced book. It is more character-driven, but I do like the way that that's been done, and I do find that I'm excited to pick this book up and carry on reading. I was going to try and finish this book this evening, but it's getting on for 9 o'clock and I am feeling a little bit sleepy, so I think I'm going to read for another half an hour and then maybe try and get an early night because I'm back in the office tomorrow for the first time since before Christmas and I want to make sure that I'm alert. Obviously, I might try and finish this on the train tomorrow morning. Not really sure what book I want to pick up next because I started the audiobook for A Psalm for the Wild Built earlier and I couldn't get into it. I listened to the first hour and I think I'm going to DNF it because the writing was really beautiful and the narration was fine, but I wasn't really understanding anything that was going on in that book. Like, all I can really tell you is that it's about a monk, and I think there was also robots maybe, but I might go back to that and read the physical copy if I do ever feel like revisiting it. But I think I might actually pick up The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah, because as you might be able to see, this is a library book, and so I would like to read it before it's due back, and I did get this out specifically for the readathon, so I might read this next. We will see what I'm feeling, because this is historical fiction and I do find that I have to be in the right mood to pick up historical fiction. Get confused what day it is the first week of January, because I was so confused in work yesterday because it was my first day back in the office since before Christmas, and I kept thinking it was Monday even though it was obviously Tuesday, and today it is Wednesday. So I thought I would do a quick update because I didn't speak to you yesterday. I did end up finishing Under the Whispering Door last night. I almost finished this on the train on my way home, but I started to feel a little bit emotional and I didn't want to cry in public, so I waited until I got back. But I really enjoyed this. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I think the main reason why this didn't feel quite like a 5 stars was mostly because I felt like there were a few pacing issues, especially towards the end. But I did really like the setting in this book and how it takes place in this cozy little tea shop that's kind of a halfway house between life and death. I would say that if you're not okay with reading about death, or if you're not okay with reading about grief, then I wouldn't recommend this one, because there were some moments that were really quite sad. I did think that it was quite well balanced though, because even though you had these sadder moments, there were also moments that felt more hopeful. It reminded me a little bit of The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, just in terms of the tone and the way that it approached the themes without feeling traumatizing. I don't know if I mentioned, but this is the first book that I've ever read by TJ Klune. I do own The House in the Cerulean Sea on my Kindle. I haven't read it yet, but I would like to. I've heard that the two books are very different, because whereas Under the Whispering Door is more melancholy, apparently House in the Cerulean Sea is like a warm hug, and I really like the sound of that. I think I'm going to save it for a day where I need a book that's going to cheer me up. I don't think I actually said yesterday what book I was going to pick up next, because I was trying to decide between The Four Winds by Kristin Hannah and Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I decided to go for Project Hail Mary in the end. Wasn't really in the mood for historical fiction, so I think I'm going to pick up The Four Winds next week. Project Hail Mary is by the same author who wrote The Martian, which is one of my favourite science fiction books, even though I haven't read a lot of science fiction, so it's not really hard to make it onto that list. But I really enjoyed The Martian, and I am now about 25% of the way through Project Hail Mary and really enjoying it so far. It's been a while since I read The Martian, so I can't really compare the two, but I know that I loved The Martian, and from what I'm feeling so far, I think I'm going to enjoy Project Hail Mary just as much. Gave The Martian 5 stars when I read it, so maybe this is going to be another 5 stars. It would be nice actually to have a 5 stars in this readathon. It's really hard to talk about the plot for this book, but it's essentially about a guy who wakes up and he has no memory, so he can't remember who he is, he can't remember his own name. All he really knows is that he's not on Earth anymore. You have this timeline in the present day, but then you also have this timeline in the past where you start to see how he got into this situation. Like I said, I'm about a quarter of the way through at the moment, and I am enjoying it. I like the humour, and I like the main character and how we're following what he's doing and how he's trying to piece together this puzzle. The only thing I will say is that some of the science stuff is really really hurting my brain because it's quite technical. However, I am following it enough that I don't feel lost, if that makes sense. I still feel like I'm in the story, which is what I want. Good morning and good morning and happy Saturday. So it is now the weekend, and I don't know if I mentioned actually, but I'm not doing anything this weekend because this week has been a lot. It's been really busy, but also feels like it's been dragging and like it's gone on forever. So I'm excited to just stay in bed all day and read my book because I'm now about 50% of the way through Project Hail Mary, and honestly I am loving this. I actually think it might end up being one of my favourite books of the year, and we're only in the first week of January. It's really difficult because I don't want to say much more on the plot for this book, not because I think it would be spoilery, but because I went into this book not knowing much about it, and I wouldn't want to rob that experience from anyone else. So if you are already interested in this book, then I would say go for it. I think that if you liked The Martian, then there's a good chance that you would like this as well. Also, I think that if you like movies that are set in space and that have some sort of mission to save the Earth, I think that you would like this as well. It feels really funny, but also really wholesome, which I wasn't expecting. Like, there's been some moments throughout this book that have been so cute, and there's been a few moments where I felt like I was going to cry, and I wasn't expecting that at all. I really like the way that this is building up and how we're gradually being fed the information and how something will be revealed and then you'll learn something else later on that just adds to the story, and it just feels really clever. I am starting to get used to the science now. I will admit that there's been parts where I've had to reread paragraphs because it's just not quite sticking in my brain, and I don't remember The Martian being like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that The Martian is like that, but I don't remember struggling with The Martian. But then I wouldn't say that I'm struggling with Project Hail Mary. I think it's just a case of sometimes there are parts where there is a lot of information that's being thrown at you, but it's still making sense, and I am still following, and it's not affecting my enjoyment. Even if there's parts where I don't quite understand the terminology, I'm still able to get the gist of it. It's coming up for lunchtime now, and I am hoping that I'm going to be able to finish this book today because Ashley is doing a 24-hour readathon over on her channel, so I'm going to join that for a little bit and just see how much I can get read. The chapters are quite long, but I'm still reading it quite quickly, so I think that's doable. I think I should be able to finish it by the end of the day.
Many hours later.
So it's now Saturday evening, and I have been reading pretty much solidly all day, but it's good. It's been good because I've now finished Project Hail Mary, and this book. I don't even know what I can say about this book other than I loved it, and I'm giving it 5 stars, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to end up being a favourite book of the year, which I wasn't expecting considering that we're on like the second week of January. I feel like the story just got better and better as it went along, and I can't really say what I really loved about this book because I feel like that would be a spoiler, but if you've read this book, let's just say that I loved the characters in this book and just how cozy it felt. Obviously I can't really say how accurate the science is within the story, but it all seemed pretty plausible to me, and I think I've said this already, but I was following everything and it did all seem to make sense. Yeah, I really liked that. It definitely felt logical, but I'm not an expert. I know that this did win the science fiction category for 2021, and I can see why, because if I'd read this book last year, then it is the book that I would have voted for, definitely. I think I am going to end the reading vlog here though, because I have an idea for a vlog that I want to do next week, and I was looking at the books that I have left on my readathon TBR, and I think I can make the books fit into this idea that I have, or I've built an idea based on the books that I still have left on my TBR that I'm going to be reading next week. So really excited to start that vlog, but yeah, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments if you've read either Project Hail Mary or Under the Whispering Door. Let me know in the comments if you're taking part in the readathon and what books you've been reading this week, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and click subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time. Bye.